Does everything look okay? RMXD, what's going on? Kagam says up only. No, not up only. Do you remember where we left off on Friday? I took the 886 short, obviously. It rotated pixel perfect to 7.5. And then we're still outside of value area high. So the two levels that you're looking at really haven't changed. Obviously it's the, like the 105.3. And then even right now where we're at is a pretty sort of key level. So if Bitcoin can't get above here, then you're probably looking at like 94, 92, like we talked about on Friday. If you guys remember the 886 golden pocket rotation. So something like this is what we drew. So if it can't get above here, then yeah, you're definitely going to be looking at 94, maybe even 92. You're probably looking at cleaning all of this. All right, and then that's obviously fib, and you don't want to, fail auction your ass. So, okay. So it's really just a continuation off of Friday, to be honest. I don't know if people took that short at the 886. Definitely want to shave a little bit at value. Maybe some longers on this golden pocket pullback right here. Yeah, so at least the levels are pretty clear. It hasn't really changed since Friday, and we're just looking at structure, right? So if it was going to be bullish, you should be able to turn that golden pocket into support bulls, and more specifically stay above value area high. Bears, if you really are bullish, just get back inside value area high, get back below VWAP. You're going to have a full rotation of value area low. It's going to be a big cascade of long stops. So bears, all you have to do is get back inside value area high and get below VWAP. Bulls, you need to turn that golden pocket into support. So yeah, if you really think about it, nothing's really changed. Obviously, it's at value area high. So if you lose value area low, then you're going to start to think about confirming a failed auction, right? So this is your first. This is your second. So obviously that would be horrible structure for bulls. Bulls, all you really need to do is turn that into support, because then you're going to be able to make for higher highs, and then you're going to be able to get that, sweep again. That's about it. Any questions? Easy money, Bugatti money, chat. How we doing? It's too easy, but everything prepared, everything talked about. I see you, Azaz, with the clip. It's too easy on these hoes, chat. It's Kachaya. Burbeezy says you took the soul juice on that sweep, right? Yep. I believe my entry is 180 something. Do you remember when I took the earlier short last week on Thursday? And then Mandela was talking about what about the high getting swept? And I said, yeah, most likely I'll get stopped out. My next short's going to be the 180 sweep. I'm sure Azaz has a clip of that too. But yeah, I'm doing exactly as I planned. So let me know if you guys have any questions. Yep. Any questions? RNK says, did your bearish bias related to those low gammas change still? Anytime I hear the word your bearish bias, I feel like you haven't really been paying attention, RNK. So, what I would suggest, RNK, if you think I have a bearish bias, is maybe try to rewind starting, well, I don't want to send you back too far. What I would answer is, RNK, you know that on higher time frame I'm bullish, right? I guess that's the most important thing. you know, obviously I've been streaming since here. We went through all of this. You've been here. You were here when we were longing this, right? And you were here when we were longing this, right? And you saw the clip that Azaz had about the 105 to 72, and then we're gonna go to 150. As long as you know the higher time frame plan, RNK. I've been saying that I'm bullish for 2025 for about a year now. I think it was July of last year when I said first that I'm bullish for 2025, and then starting around October and November of last year, I really committed to the idea of 2025 being bullish. Yeah. So RNK says I'm not talking about higher time frame. Okay, good. So we're short because we're hedging longs, right? If I don't want to TP any of my longs here, if I don't want to TP any of my longs, how do I responsibly hit my home run? Because if you're not going to TP along, what's the next best thing? You should hedge short, right? If you don't get a swing fail pattern, what's the next best structural edge that we look for? A failed auction, right? So I've been taking hedge shorts since here. All for the purpose of letting it go to 150, right? But if you're not gonna swing for a home run and you're closing your longs, then you don't have to take the hedge short, right, RNK? Isn't that what we've been planning and talking about for the last almost a year now? So if you remember, when we were here, there's already a clip of me talking about let's get to 72 and then let's go to 150. Did you see that clip from 2 months ago, 3 months ago that we played last week that Azaz had? So how do I do this? I have to hedge if I'm not going to TP anything. So it's as simple as that. Now, if you already committed to shaving all the way through, then you don't need to hedge short. That simple, RNK. I'm just doing exactly what I said I would do months ago. Isn't that crazy? I already said when we were talking about longing 72, 70, 68. If you go back to this part, RNK, you already hear me talking about I'm going to start hedge shorting. So, and because I did that here too. Yeah, do you remember when we were hedge shorting? We didn't lose any money on this. We already got into longs here. We hedge shorted here. Do you remember like we had the Elliott waves and shit? Like we had the 92, then the 98, and then the 105. Remember all that? We hedge shorted all of those, remember? You can go back to November and December and watch. So I'm doing the same exact thing as I did on this to here. 150. All right, RNK. Yeah, I mean, I'm just doing exactly what I said I would do weeks and months ago. So, all right. What you want to do is try to do the same thing. Chaya. Gucci Romo says we were trying to hedge at 95 for a whole week, bro. Gucci. Think about that for a second. We were looking for longs for weeks and months, right? And then we talked about this, eat pixel perfect, right? Again, we talked about this. I mean, not that hard. We don't, get bullish on penetration. We get bullish on retest. Yeah, it looks pixel perfect to me. RNK says maybe we're in different reality, but it's fine. I guess I don't get it. Yeah, that's okay, RNK. I'm just doing me. You got to do you. It doesn't make sense because you're never going to be able to understand what somebody else is thinking. You're going to have your own bias. And I've been saying that for about a year now too, RNK. Yeah. So if anything, brother, what I would do is just be self-aware of your own bias. RNK. Yeah. So if you weren't able to follow along with me, that's a great example of how your own subconscious bias is getting in your way. I'm never going to be able to convince your subconscious, RNK. It's yours. So your bias is your bias. There's nothing that I will ever be able to say to change your mind. So that's a great opportunity for you to be self-aware and be like, why am I this? You know? RNK says the main thesis and bias of your streams the past 4 weeks we're looking for shorts because of those big gammas at the lows. No. So that's exactly what I mean by, I don't know if is English your second language, RNK? Yeah, so again, you got to get caught up. So we've been talking about this. Do you remember? I don't know if you probably don't, but do you know when we drew this? Do you know that I drew this when we were still here? RNK? Yeah, did you know that this is the level on S&P that we were looking for? So you got to that's a great example of how I don't think you really understand the higher time frame. And to be honest with you, you're actually kind of arguing my point. The past 4 weeks, right? We're long on S&P. I don't know how many times I have to tell you, RNK, and again, this is on you. I've been bullish for 2025 for a year now, RNK. So you do realize that we're bullish on S&P, right, RNK? Did you know that in July through October, I talked about I'm going to sell all of my risk on assets, my real estate portfolio at the end of the year? Do you remember any of that? So I think what you don't understand is, this is what you said. You're looking for shorts because of those big gammas at the lows. Wrong. What I've always articulated and I've said every day, and this is why you need to pay attention, is we're not scared to long. We're looking for longs if we dump. But we don't expect anything. We're always prepared. Does that help? What do you guys think about this, man? Can we give it up for this? This is nuts. This is fucking nuts. Crazy chat. How many of you guys were here when we drew this line up here? How many of you guys were here with me when it pixel fucked? Damn. LuxSlayer says so many sidelined now. It depends on what data you look at. Some people would argue that the $6 billion, and then if you include ETH, oh my God, ETH has, you guys remember how much in ETH shorts we talked about 2 months ago? You guys remember the institutional ETH shorts that we talked about like 2 months ago? So if you include that, we're talking like 35 billion in shorts that are about to get squeezed across the board. So yeah, I mean, I think you're always going to see LuxSlayer. I know it's not you. I know it's not you, LuxSlayer, but did you know that like 82%, I think is the statistic of what you say, what people say in chat is projection. So if people are like, oh my God, so many shorts are trapped. And if they keep saying that, depending on the word choice they use, they're actually in a short that's trapped. If somebody keeps saying, ha 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 ha, there's so many retail is sideline, man, they missed the long. There's an 81% chance that that person actually is sidelined and missed the long. And like the data is there, you know, because we can correlate it against your actual positions. But so I'm not saying it's you, but what I would say is start to pay attention to what people say and how they say it. Okay, coping is such a big thing. If you're focused and locked in and you're juicing and you're trading, you're gonna start to notice that you're gonna chat less. Okay, the people that are trading and are chatting most of the time, okay, and I'm not saying you guys, in fact, you guys are the exception. I'm talking about the general sort of crypto stream, crypto content chat. Most of the time, it's just a platform for validation and coping. So don't fall into the game. You know what I mean? Like if you were a professional trader on Wall Street, you're not going back and forth arguing with people. You're not going back and forth asking what people are doing, you know? So yeah. Stop the music. Incognito, we good. Am Juicin, we good. Danny Bola, we good. Thank you for the 10 gifted. Lux Slayer says I could see us pumped 120, 125, 130, 150. Yeah. Did you know that we have talked about those levels? Do you want a refresher again? Lux Slayer. Azaz, hit him with the clip from 3 months ago where we're at 105 and I say, hey, I would love 72 before we go to 150. Yeah. So don't forget to do Elliott Wave. We talked about it last week. Fibonacci extensions. Yep, there's really 4 possible harmonics in play, right? It just depends on how big the pullback is. Yeah, so everything talked about, everything planned out, everything kat choy, everything the same. Nothing's really changed for about a year, if you really think about it. It's something like this. From yesterday's thoughts. But it's just, it's something that we've been talking about really since mid-December, if you think about it. Yeah, so I don't know, but I do expect, I mean, copy trading, you know what I would love, dude? 72 or something. I would love 72, you know, before we really head on up towards like 150. But it could be 72, it could be 78, brother. It might be 82, it might be 85. We might not even get that 80 gap. Catch it! It's too easy. Quit playing with me. If we could have gotten 72, it would have been amazing if S&P gave us 42. You know, 44, 43. Yeah, but we've been bullish for hella long, almost a year and a half. Yeah, man, 72 would have been great. It ended up going to 74 shot, not too bad. Yeah, and then, you know, we've been anticipating, we've been bullish for very, very, very long time. Shout outs to people like RNK, gotta get caught up. This is great, but it's sus as fuck because if you lose that, then 76 is guaranteed easy. So I'm playing it like this. Like if this was 5 minute, brother, I would be like, dude, this is bearish. Until it got back above here. That's when I would be like, yeah. And then when this happened, I would be like, oh. Okay, so let's take a look at that. Yeah. Yeah. Rotate. Easy money, Bugatti money. Rotate. Easy money, that's just math. Catch it! Yeah, my boy. Yeah, my boy. Let's go. Catch it! Maybe this is how like RNK got confused. I don't know. XLR says, I'm going to leave before you. Sounds good, XLR. Any questions you guys want to talk about? You guys okay? Pook says, is there a scenario where we take out the 75 low and still remain bullish? 100%. Pook, this is where like I don't see, this is where, Pook, you need to believe whatever it is that you want to believe. Okay? And whether it's you or whether it's someone like RNK, your subconscious bias is always going to take control regardless of what I say. Okay? So for me, Pook, have I ever said that we're going to go to 68? Negative. My articulation has always been, I'm not afraid to long if it goes to 68 or 70 or 72. Alrighty? So I'll give it to me and I'm not afraid to long that bitch, Pook. Okay? But be very, very clear. Okay? If there's anybody else like RNK that might think that I'm bearish, I am not bearish. I don't know how you could possibly think that on higher time frame, you know, but you know, now on medium to smaller time frame, all we're going to do is look at Boo Gammas. If the Boo Gammas continuously print lower Boo Gammas, then I'm going to be bearish. If it starts to print higher Boo Gammas, we switch bullish. If it's above the Gex flip, it's bullish. If it's below the Gex flip, it's bearish. So those markers will never change. You need to watch that shit every day and figure out which way the momentum is going. Every day you should have a bullish bias and a bearish bias. And so whichever one comes to fruition, you know how to engage. How we doing? We Gucci? But yeah, Pook TV, if it goes down below 75, I would love to long. Same with S&P. Like if S&P, you know, has like, you know, like COVID-29 comes around and fucking Chinese tariffs are on and we don't do rate cuts. Yeah, like I'm ready for whatever. You know, I think that's the point that people aren't getting, is that you need to be prepared for both bullish and bearish. So, all right. Even today we had like a pretty easy, in my opinion, like a short and a long. And the best part is you couldn't have lost on either one. You guys see it? Shadow says, thanks for a great stream. Any last minute questions that you want to talk about? Shadow, obviously, you know, making a lower low is going to be very bearish. All right. So 101 obviously can't be lost. You're probably looking at 94, 92 at that point. And to be honest with you, even before you get to 101, if you turn VWAP into resistance, you're probably looking at, you know, bearishness, right? So as always, use the VWAP, use the fib, use the point of control, use the value from previous session, especially while RTH is open, to kind of navigate yourself. All right. We talked about it in the morning, but if you have any 30-minute candle closes or time spent below the VWAP or below value, you're looking at, you know, signs of weakness and value area high, value area low, full rotate. All right. At that point, you just got to be really careful about any longs. You probably are losing that div that most of you guys were talking about. Upside, you got SFP, you got 1.25 extension, you got volume, you got untapped point of control. Make sure you have your levels to the upside and downside. Do you have the levels, Shadow? Shadow says, yes, sir. Been here all day. Plans were set out earlier in the day. Thank you, brother. Awesome, Shadow. Good shit. Good shit. Awesome, man. No, I appreciate you, man. All right. Shadow says, could you show ETH levels real quick? Of course, brother. Let me put it on daily. I think this picture says it all. Okay. Look at the anchor VWAPs. Okay. I haven't touched these levels or the ETH plan for months, Shadow. Okay. These are all levels that we had since the last nerd out. So we've had this bitch for like 7 months. All right. So the juice is the juice and the math is the math, Lions. So until it gets above that box, right? Until it gets above that box. What did we say? What did we say 5 months ago, chat? Until ETH gets above that box, this is a bull trap. And yeah, it's pumping, but 5 months ago, I said that, you know, unless it gets above 2600 and turns that VWAP into support, I'm going to consider this movement a bull trap. Yeah, ETH might be juicing, but don't be longing up here. If you wanted to long, you had, you know, the breakout of that downward trending line is when you were supposed to long, right? Worst case scenario, if you wanted to long, I mean, it's like Bitcoin, but you know, we drew all these lines a very, very long time ago. So yeah, like really, this was like your last place to kind of chase the long, right? Don't get long here. Don't get bullish here. Yeah, so I love you guys, man. I love you guys. Bye, you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow.